All right, welcome back to our PagerDuty live stream, folks. We are here today for Runbook Automation and Rundeck 2024 Year in Review. I'm Mandy Walls, developer advocate here at PagerDuty. With me, as always, are Jake and Forrest, and we have a new guest with us today, Jeff Hausman, who's in charge of our product and engineering organization. Welcome to the stream, Jeff. We'll kick it off.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to join.
Awesome.
So why don't we just dive in? I think, as everybody knows, PagerDuty is the world leader in digital ops management. We help companies all over the world, including some of the biggest companies and brands many of you trust, to anticipate and respond to disruptions. And we are that critical source that you need if and when something happens, so you can mitigate impact for your end users, your customers, your business. And we aim to help you to drive efficiency through engineering and operations, so teams can focus on their most valuable work, both part of unplanned incident management as well as planned work that can improve operations and often help avoid unplanned incidents. And we all know that automation is a critical tenet in delivering best-in-class ops at scale with efficiency. Our solutions are helping automate work from mundane tasks to enabling more individuals to leverage automation by creating and helping others to create and do this in a safe manner. And we focused a lot this past year on serving customers that want to standardize their processes, standardize across multiple teams as well as multiple environments. We're focused on making automation more integrated into the rest of the PagerDuty Operations Cloud and making it easier to integrate automation into the rest of your incident management processes. And through all of this, we've continued to show and make sure that you appreciate our commitment to our Rundeck open source project. We actually this year made more code commits, as you'll see from Jake and Forrest in a minute, this year in our open source Runbook code base or Rundeck code base than our commercial products code base. And we also have continued to invest in infusing AI into our automation products. And that's going to continue in the coming year. Now, as we represent on this slide, we help companies in a lot of different ways. And I just want to touch on a few before I turn it over to Forrest and Jake to walk through a recap of the delivery for the last year. So I'll start with incident management transformation. This is all about automating as much of the incident lifecycle as possible. And Runbook automation is a huge part of that. You'll hear more about this. We now have a whole library of pre-built automation templates. They're going to help you get started automating diagnostics and automating remediation as part of your incident processes. For fun fact, in December alone, PagerDuty customers used automated workflows across over 160,000 incidents. And over 80% of those workflows were triggered without human intervention. Pretty outstanding. Let me also touch on Operations Center modernization, which is all about modernizing how both centralized operations teams and hybrid or even distributed teams, they're often inundated with too many alerts to handle. By tying together PagerDuty's AIOps and automation capabilities, we're able to improve the efficiency of these teams by helping filter out noise through grouping alerts, muting false positives, auto-remediating known issues. And further, through our Ops console, teams can now directly trigger approved automations so they can pull in the engineering teams less often. They can resolve issues faster and often address these issues even before they turn into a major incident. And then last, but certainly not least, let me touch on automation standardization and creating centers of excellence. A lot of organizations are trying to do this, and sometimes it's easier said than done. You often have disparate teams. Maybe they have their own processes and their own expertise. Maybe they're responsible for different technologies or different portions of the stack or business. And our focus here has been on how we help to drive standardization without impeding the autonomy and the velocity that engineering and operations teams need. We want to help customers find the right balance between bridging silos and implementing customer-wide standards or company-wide standards, while making sure that they're driving a certain level of freedom to operate in the ways that work best for them. A few fun facts that we've seen from all of the work from our customers. They often save 20 to 30% of effort by enabling self-service action. They can save millions of dollars while reducing risk of penalties such as missing SLAs. And they can often reduce incidents by automating automation by 25 to 35%. We see this as really compelling. We look forward to continuing to push the envelope on helping drive digital operations even better. And now I'd love to turn it over to Forrest and let him talk about some of the fun things that we did this year.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. We really have, made a big impact on our customers this year. As you mentioned, we've been very busy, but very much so of our customers. We've got a few interesting, tidbits and stats throughout the deck and the slides that we're going to go through today to highlight what some of those are doing. And maybe towards the end, I'll throw out some of the more creative and interesting use cases that I've heard about where customers are doing what you just said, saving money, preventing, critical disasters like we have. I'll throw one out right now. We have one customer that uses it to make sure that those little red lights on the top of poles that planes are supposed to avoid, that those are absolutely taken care of at all times, because not only does the company get heavily fined if they're off, but it's also a big risk. So there's just so many very interesting use cases out there. As you highlighted, the first two boxes there, you can see that we maintain that heavy commitment to the open source. Many more commits over the commercial product. And then how our customers are using it is just blowing us away. There's over 200,000 different job definitions in our cloud, just in our cloud instances, and 18 million executions. Certain customers are doing up to 25,000 executions per day to keep their environments healthy and keep that automation running. On our automation actions, and this is directly tied to that incident management world, at 2 million executions. And over 435,000 nodes, different endpoints that are being managed by the Runbook automation ecosystem. So
I think it's worth noting too, right? These are the job definitions and the job executions are just in our cloud product, which is still, for all intents and purposes, in its infancy. And we're still getting some of our larger customers growing in there. And so, this is just the beginning. And, for customers that have been using self-hosted, these numbers they're well past these numbers, but this is what we can highlight for our Runbook automation SaaS.
Right.
Yeah, amazing. My goodness.
And if you're curious about what some of our customers are actually doing with it, it is just a very wide range of different use cases. As Jeff mentioned, we released our use case library. We're trying to highlight and formalize some of those and provide those examples to get you up and running with those. But this is a capture from a variety of sources. And normally, I think when you see these sort of word mixes, there's usually one word that just blows up the screen, and we don't see that because the Rundeck world and the Runbook automation world is just using the product in so many different ways that, to be honest, being the content program guy, sometimes I just can't keep up. There's so much going on out there. So we definitely appreciate and look forward to learning more from the community and all of our customers, how they are using this, and sharing that back out through the use case library.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, Forrest, when you think about how people are stretching the boundaries of where automation can help them. It's truly exciting, and it's great to see all the feedback and ideas and pushing the envelope on where we go next.
Yeah.
So now, as we dig into what have we been pushing the envelope on the last year? What have we been focusing on? We've been distilling it down to these three themes of customer challenges, and these challenges that customers are facing, or priorities that customers are facing when it comes to automation within their environments. So we distilled this down to the complexity of implementing automation in the modern organization, and that has to do with trying to get more people using automation and not reinventing the wheel and integrating it with all the different systems and environment components that they have. Scalability, right? Our customers are trying to orchestrate their automation across multiple environments, whether that's across physical or logical boundaries. They're trying to get more teams adopting certain standards of automation. And Jeff mentioned, trying to get implement certain standards while not impeding teams' independence and velocity. And then security, obviously, there's this opposing force when it comes to automation, which is speed things up while still keeping things locked down. And this has always been a big part of why customers use Rundeck, which is to put guardrails around how automation is used. And we've doubled down on that in multiple ways in the past year. So we're going to dig into each of these themes. We'll be calling out which theme we're focusing on, and it'll be quite obvious. And so we'll start actually with complexity, and I'll turn it over to Forrest to talk more in depth about how we've been focusing on this particular customer challenge.
Yeah, the first way we're attacking complexity, I already mentioned a little bit about it, but is the release and publishing just in the last quarter or so. Like, I think we just released this in October. Is this idea of the content library. So on pagerduty.com/automation as a landing page, it provides this head start and ideas for automation use cases that customers can implement. Now, it's not just a single box and here's an idea. Behind this this page, there's direct links to docs and example jobs that customers can download and use. So it not only speeds up the ability to get started with that automation, get a job up and running, but also provides those ideas of, oh, I didn't know I could do that in the database world as well. Or maybe I could use this to reduce some of my AWS spend, for example. So it gives you other ideas on how automation can be used. And they're truly tangible, and we want them to be functional for you to it's something you can actually use and not just an idea.
Yeah, and back to the theme of like reuse rather than rebuild and not reinventing the wheel. Our customers want to know, what are other customers doing, and can we leverage what you've seen other customers do? And so this is a way to tap into that as well.
Right. So we along that line, we are accepting ideas, right? We've just launched this. We're looking for customers to bring us their ideas. What use cases do you want us to either help you build, or what use cases have you built that we might be interested in using or leveraging? Definitely reach out to us. We'll put some comments or something in the follow-up notes on how you can do that.
Yeah, exactly. Also in the theme of decreasing complexity and improving getting started, we simplified the steps to get started with Runbook automation, both for the first users of the platform, but also as new teams are getting onboarded. Usually we see the pattern of, one team will start with one or a couple of use cases, and then another team gets onboarded and has their own project within the platform. And so we did this by representing our enterprise runner as nodes. And so your enterprise runner can be your first node in your project, and allows you to go through the full flow of getting your first command or your first job executing in your secure environment, and get you familiar with just the fundamental steps of creating that automation and targeting an endpoint with that automation. And so it decreases the number of steps to go through that end-to-end flow of getting started. And then additionally, as kind of demonstrated in this screenshot, representing our runners as nodes has been useful for our customers that are using the platform for orchestrating their automation across numerous physical sites, whether that's for retail or hospitality or supply chain management. And so our customers will put a runner in each location and represents that location through that runner, again, as shown here. And so it drastically simplifies the architecture of the project and being able to, again, orchestrate that automation across numerous sites. On a recent webinar, we talked about a customer of ours, a Canadian retailer that has over 400 stores, as well as a number of warehouses, and they are using Runbook automation to do exactly this, orchestrate their automation across a large volume of sites. Lastly, in this theme, we simplified how runners are associated with nodes. And what we did is said there's a dynamic relationship where you can set a node filter and assign that to our enterprise runner. As shown here, this runner is assigned to any nodes that have the region equals US West 1 node attribute. And so as new nodes populate in the inventory, there's that dynamic relationship. What this ultimately leads to is a simplified authoring experience for the job creators so that those job authors can focus on the steps that they want to automate and the nodes that they want to target. And they don't have to worry about the plumbing of the runner, just like they typically don't have to worry about the plumbing of the networking protocol that's used to reach those nodes. That is typically handled by the project admin. And before moving on to the next theme around scalability, we wanted to actually call out a product highlight here, a product spotlight, which is where we've infused AI the most into automation this last year. And that was around our Logs Digest as part of automation within incident management. Logs Digest will look at the alert context plus the output of automation that has been executed during this incident and distill it down in plain English terms so that the responder can more quickly decipher what's going on, what automation has been triggered, what did that automation do, what was the outcome of that automation, and not only, again, lowering the barrier to entry in terms of what a given responder is capable of doing, but it also speeds up their response time to know what to do next.
This feature, I said I was going to sprinkle in some customer stories, but we were having a pretty big name, they're in the news a lot, customer that, not for bad reasons, but just, it's a very popular name. And they were evaluating the product, and when they got to this step, right, they had implemented the full solution using the content library and some of the use cases we had, and they got to this integration where they could really draw together their incident cycle and the automation cycle, and it was human readable, right? They weren't looking at some heavy complicated log or confusing output or stack traces, all these things. It came back as, hey, we think this is the problem, or this is a summary of the problem, and it was written for them. They were blown away by that, and I think that really turned their minds onto driving more automation into their incidents.
Yeah, the customer response to this across the board has been really positive. All right, let's dig into scalability. Forrest, want to kick us off this theme?
Yeah, when it comes to scalability, we regularly have a lot of customers automating across multiple environments. Those are segmented in different ways. I think I'm working off the next slide there, Jake.
Sure.
Right, we did enhance the runner to be able to target multiple different environments, right, with a single execution. So this idea of dynamic runner selection and being able to run and write a single job without having to think about, okay, I'm going to write this job, I want to run it here. It just greatly simplifies the ability to orchestrate and organize your automation environment. So that allows it to scale at the right spot and keep it, and at the same time keep things well organized.
Exactly. One of the other types of scale that our customers oftentimes will struggle with is the scale of people, not just of their infrastructure, right? The sheer number of teams and individuals that have different tools that they come to the table with, different skill sets, different backgrounds, different parts of the technology stack that they're responsible for. I mean, that's the diversity that we were talking about that becomes the challenge for implementing standards. And so oftentimes, one team is going to come to the table with certain dependencies for their automation, whether that's Python dependencies or a certain version of Ansible requirement, or they're responsible for the Windows side of the environment, and so they have certain Windows dependencies. Their automation is in PowerShell scripts, so on and so forth. And so accommodating all of those dependencies for all of these teams is on a single platform, a single runtime environment, if you will, is challenging. And so we addressed that by bringing the enterprise runner management and feature set into the project context. And that's what you see on this screenshot here. So each team can create and manage their own runners, thereby giving them control over the runtime environment of their automation. And so again, a given team can create their runner and deploy it on Windows and install certain PowerShell dependencies on their runner, and then orchestrate their automation completely independent of what other teams are doing within other projects. And so this, again, gets back to what Jeff mentioned at the beginning around being able to implement standards, the standard of the Runbook automation platform, centralizing everything, putting auditing around everything, et cetera, without impeding the autonomy of the individual teams. Last but not least, within the realm of scalability, and this also was just within the last quarter, we released an entire new suite for orchestrating Kubernetes. It's not uncommon for customers to have more than one Kubernetes cluster, and it's also not uncommon for customers to have Kubernetes operating across multiple cloud environments or a mix of cloud and data center. And handling that, especially when it comes to authentication and network protocols for communicating with their Kubernetes clusters, can be an architectural challenge. And so we released a whole new suite that takes advantage of native integrations with the public cloud providers, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, as well as has a more native integration with our enterprise runner, where now you can install the runner and represent that runner as the cluster or as an individual namespace within a cluster, and making it very easy to target the clusters in a fairly elegant way and accommodate all the different types of operations that you want to accommodate. And I believe we'll have a follow-up webinar specifically on this new integration suite. So before moving on to the next theme, Forrest and I will talk just a little bit about a particular customer that we've seen.
Another good scalability use case. Ryanair set this pretty ambitious business goal for themselves to fly 300 million passengers every year by 2034. Today, we are facilitating over 25,000 automation jobs for them daily, on a daily basis. Right. So that idea and the theme of scalability is critical to them to keep those jobs going. Right. We know the airlines, operate 24/7 and definitely need either things to work. So the Ryanair's DR process is standardized using the Runbook automation self-hosted product. And they're also doing auto remediation, I'm seeing, on some self-healing related to their incident management. So, for example, if a web server stops responding at 3 a.m., it does trigger an alert, but it will try to restart it and fix it first before looping in the human, then loop in the human if something continues to be a problem. They estimate in that particular scenario, they've saved around 1,000 human hours annually. In the realm of security and compliance, before automation, it would take one of their engineers about 2 weeks to gather SOX compliance evidence. And now they offer their auditors a self-service portal to collect the information they need, reducing the time that their engineers spend with those auditors by 90%. So 3 very different use cases, all implemented using the Runbook automation self-hosted product. And that sort of is a good transition, the security and compliance, what things, into our next theme of, how we are also addressing security within the product. This past year, looking back, we have released the AWS Vault Secret plugin, and we also have another one on the cusp of coming out. I believe it's going to be next week. So technically, according to the PagerDuty calendar, that is in our next year. But if it follows very much in line with the AWS one, that is probably the next big name on the top of your mind there for that.
Another big cloud provider.
Another big one that starts with A.
we'll let you guess which.
Put in the chat which one you think it might be.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be talking about. We'll probably be talking about that on our next release notes live stream.
Next time we get to
also along the lines of security and specifically secrets management integrations, in the last year, we brought our secrets management integrations to the enterprise runner. And this is critical, not just for our SaaS customers, because they want to have a secure connection to their secrets and not have that connection necessarily come from our Runbook Automation SaaS. But even for our self-hosted customers, it's for the larger customers, it's not uncommon for them to have a secrets management product or provider hosted in an area in their environment that Runbook Automation doesn't have direct access to, or they have multiple vaults, multiple secrets management providers. They'll have a HashiCorp Vault instance in one continent in one region, and then another one in another continent. And for obvious data sovereignty and security and compliance reasons, those secrets can't leave whatever boundary they've put around that environment that vault is in. And so we've designed this integration between our runner and the key storage management providers in such a way that when an automation needs a secret that is going to be retrieved from one of these vaults, the runner gets those instructions and will retrieve the secret from the vault and never pass that secret back to the server, back to the Runbook Automation cluster or our SaaS, and never gets passed to another runner. It is on demand, retrieved by the runner from the vault, and then used to automate against the target system, whether that's against an infrastructure element or even a self-hosted tool like Jira, for example. And so this has been very critical for our enterprise customers, and opens up a lot of doors around orchestrating at scale and in a secure manner. One of the largest car manufacturers is using our SaaS product now to orchestrate automation, and this has been a critical piece of their operations. And last but not least, we've spoken about containers and Kubernetes. We've talked about bringing generative AI into automation. It's worth noting that we haven't lost sight of our roots, and what I mean by that is still the majority of our customers have infrastructure that is built on top of traditional infrastructure stacks, and traditional infrastructure protocols, such as SSH, WinRM, and so on. And so this is just one example, this screenshot of many enhancements that we made to our node execution plugins, our file copier plugins, our script execution plugins that rely on these traditional protocols. And so we've made multiple enhancements to SSH WinRM, but also our file copiers, SCP and SFTP, as well as noted here, that we continue to enhance our tie-in with AWS Systems Manager as a method for dispatching commands and scripts across cloud environments. So, and that will continue to stay true as we continue to invest in accommodating the newer infrastructure stacks and the newer technologies and infusing AI. We continue to not lose sight of the fact that still, majority of customers are running traditional types of environments, and we continue to invest there as well. Forrest, any last comments before we move on to community contributions?
No.
Let's dig in.
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite slide in the whole deck. Our community helps drive our solutions forward just as much as our engineering teams. Fun fact, did you both know that our Ansible plugin started as a completely open source owned by someone else set of plugins?
Okay.
We did take it over, and we now officially support it as a first class set of code and support within our product. But it was originally started by someone else and run as a totally separate open source project. It's probably one of our heaviest used suites. If we look at plugin suites, it's used quite a bit. But yeah, that started from the community. The names on the screen here are the 30 people I could find in my quick search yesterday. Across these are definitely across the open source platform, the Rundeck platform. Our docs site, right? Our docs site is also open source. If something's missing, if there's a typo, if you want to see something else in there, if you want to provide a how-to, something, you can submit to that. Some of these folks have provided, I think Rui Amaro on this list provided the most docs site commits to us.
Awesome.
As well as the Terraform provider. There's 5 or 6 names on the Terraform provider, also heavily used, purely community supported. I do the merging and I do the management of it, but I actually carve that time out on into my own time. It's not something that we technically officially support, but we do own it. The community has really stepped up, right? I've seen issues get filed by other folks out there, and then someone else from the community will be like, I can fix that, right? I can do that really quick, and they provide great engagement. I'm trying to think of, I'll just call out some of the names. I know Andrea Burling provided 3 or 4 recently in the last release. We just did another round of approvals and released the latest version. Nikita, this I think was from there. Rich Boyce did a couple, and then there is one name I do definitely want to call out on this list because it's a very recent addition to our community landscape. But Eric Chapman wrote the most compelling community submission of this year. He took the idea of our ROI metrics plugin that will track how much ROI each job execution had, and built a dashboard using our UI plugin. And it's going to be open sourced. We found it. He shared it with us through his contacts, and we thought it was such a great idea. I thought it was a really great idea, and I've been working myself doing some work, and then engineering is reviewing it as well, so that we can really level that up and share that, and you can actually see a cool dashboard with some summaries and charts and all kinds of things on how your ROI is going. So
Wow.
Just the willingness for Eric or anyone in our community to sit down and spend that kind of time building something out for the product that takes it further. That's how we know it's important, right? If you're not going to spend time on it, maybe it's not that important. Eric spent the time to really build this out. So, it definitely, we just appreciate it so much.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think we've been doing it on our regular release notes, live streams, continue to call out those community contributors. I'm working on it, but we might even see Eric join and talk about his development experience. So hopefully he's not watching and not feeling like I'm calling him out right now, but
we might be.
I do know he's based. It's on his GitHub profile, so I think I can, say he's based in Perth, Australia. So it's unlikely he's awake.
Yeah.
But he'll watch it eventually. I'll let him know that this went out there. I think he'd be willing to join. There's some also interesting secondary stories to that on how to use AI to improve that plugin. So there's another teaser for more conversations with Mandy. And we didn't do the usual intro today because we had Jeff, but I wore my elevated hat.
Excellent.
Typically pick this out because we elevated the product.
Right.
I get it.
Corny jokes. Awesome. But our hat and zip up thing is a corny thing we do just to bring people.
Yeah, I thought maybe you were just going to.
Like Joey comes back every.
I thought you were just going to wear all of the hats that you wore from the past year. And I thought about.
I'd have to go back through all the video.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly. One last thing on the community contributions. Well, I guess two things. One is, I'm already aware of some additional community contributions that are coming from customers, which is also great to see, by the way. Like, we have commercial customers that are contributing to the open source core as well. Eric is an example of that, but I know of others that are coming. But the last thing I'll say too is that, this is not a fully comprehensive list, as Forrest mentioned. He quickly looked at our Rundeck open source repo and our docs repo, but there's a number of additional repositories for all of our open source plugins. There's some AWS plugins, some Azure plugins, the HTTP request plugin, Ansible plugin. Those are all open source plugins with their own GitHub repo. And so there's a lot of community contributions across all of those plugins. So this list would be significantly longer if we took the time to go through all of those. For those of you that are not on this list, we thank you a ton. Again, as Jeff mentioned, our commitment to the open source core of Rundeck has not waned and is not going to wane. And you all are a huge part of that.
Yeah, and earlier we talked a little bit about ways to contribute. I talked about submitting, use cases or jobs. Mandy will put a link in the chat. I think right now the best place to do that is provide us something on our doc site. The doc site is public. The link to all the solutions, that list of solutions matches up with all the use cases that show up on that PagerDuty.com, or we refer to internally as just the marketing site. But the doc site is fully within Jake's and my control to take pull requests, review or engage with folks there. So you can start there, look at how those are put together and share that. Otherwise, I think my email address is fine to share as well, or maybe there's other ways. Mandy, what are other ways that they can engage with us to share their use cases?
Yeah, you can always drop us a line on the PagerDuty Commons. We're watching that. Ryanair watches that as well, so we catch the Rundeck stuff there. Rather than your personal email, they can always email our team. We're community-team@pagerduty.com. We're always happy to be the sort of anonymous front end of all of that, so folks have some redundancy, right? It'll catch there. So yeah, love to do that.
Great.
With that, Mandy, you'll tell us a little bit about what's coming up next and where can you find out where we'll be and what we'll be delivering on in the coming year.
Yeah, so PagerDuty is going back on tour starting in February in London. We're in Bishopsgate, so in the city for that one. And this one will be a mix of workshops, customer stories, product information, hanging out, drinks and snacks, like all the good stuff there that you love. And hopefully will be easy for folks to get to and see. I'll put there we go, pagerduty.com/on-tour to sign up for that. We'll get you into any of those. And then in April, we will be in Sydney, Tokyo, and San Francisco. Not all of the, I'm not sure that all of the schedules are finalized for all of those yet, but it will be similar sort of setup. We'll have a mix of product information, customer stories, great social networking with other folks that are using our product. So if you want to learn from each other, it's always great to chat with some of the other folks that are using our stuff. So looking forward to seeing folks wherever they can join us, right? So hopefully folks can do that.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the content will be online as well. And so, as stated, this is a great way to get a sense of what's coming in the coming year, both on automation as well as the rest of PagerDuty.
Absolutely.
And so you don't have to wait until our next year in review to see what we'll be focusing on. And with that, I think that's a wrap. So,
Awesome.
Well, thank everyone for joining us today. Hopefully this was useful. I know, we put out our monthly live stream of release highlights to try and keep people up to date, but we know that it's hard to attend to all of those and stay in tune with everything that we're pushing out.
Yeah.
And so hopefully this served as a nice brief catch up for the primary things that we've been cranking away on this past year.
Awesome. Yeah, this has been great. Like it's nice to look back and see, yeah, you did so much stuff last year across all different parts of the product. Just amazing amount of work. So 100%.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we will be ready and waiting for the next release notes when you're ready for that. And I guess in the meantime, we'll wish everybody an uneventful day. And like, again, if you have any questions, if you have issues or anything you'd like to know about Rundeck, you can get in touch with us on the PagerDuty Commons. You can reach out to my team or community-team@pagerduty.com. You can join the Rundeck Google group as well. Folks are always listening there. So whatever works best for you will work best for us as well. And we'll be sure to get you the help and answers that you need. So yeah, it's been great, dudes. Amazing work this year. Congratulations on all that great stuff. So looking forward to seeing what's going on this year.
We'll see you soon, Mandy.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.